Good evening and thanks for joining us on another edition of Point Blank. I am your regular anchor, Demola Alalade. We do sincerely apologize for starting this program a little bit behind schedule due to some technical issues that we've tried to deal with. I also want to apologize to those of you who tried to log in last week and could not reach us or could not watch us. We were actually off the line last week, and obviously we had some issues which was beyond our control. We sincerely do apologize for that as well. We're promising you that tonight's show will be something beneficial, will be something that's going to educate many of us, and we will have a very lovely time on tonight's show. On tonight's program, we're going to be looking at a very sensitive topic as it affects people's lives. We're going to be looking at marriage. Why is an institution that has been ordained by God, why is it failing? On tonight's program, I have with me in the studio my regular anchor, Bisoye Soyan. Bisoye, thanks for coming up Point Blank again tonight. You're most welcome to this show.
Always excited to be here. Always.
I hope so. Anyway, tonight we're going to be looking at something very, very, very sensitive as it affects people's lives. We're going to be looking at marriage. Why are marriages? Why are marriages failing? You know. Quickly, we just want to. It's going to be something that we're just going to be chit-chatting about.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure our viewers, those of you who would like to contribute to the topic of discussion tonight, the number to call will be scrolled on the screen for you to dial in. It's an interactive session, so please feel free to call in and contribute to the topic of discussion tonight. Bisoye, in your opinion, what exactly do you think marriage is? What is marriage?
Well, my own understanding, I think marriage is coming together of two people. You know.
When you say coming together, is it fusing together?
Fusing together, yeah. Okay. Two people that are committed to each other,
okay,
and they've decided to spend their lives together, have
okay,
babies with each other, you know, and commit to each other for the rest of their lives. That's the way I see marriage. Obviously, there are other key ingredients that needs to come with that, but you have to have that feeling that this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with.
You must have been in a relationship.
Oh, of course.
For a long
time.
How long do you think a relationship should be for? Because people go into marriages, they spend like a week together. I've seen that happen before, a week together. Some spend like months together, yeah. Some spend like years together. What do you think is the ideal, time to spend together before going into marriage?
There is really no ideal time. The reason why I say that is sometimes you have a very lovely rosy courtship, but as soon as you get married, it starts falling apart. So you start looking, is it because we dated for a very long time, or is it because we dated for a short while? So there's really no I don't know the word. There's really no way. There's really no. It's not really. You can't really tell that, having a long courtship is better or having a short courtship, because when you get into marriage, it's a whole different ball game entirely. You are more responsible. You have to be more committed to each other. You have to think about the future. You have to think about so many things.
And you have to think about the children when you start to have kids. You have to think about the future of these children.
Yeah.
In making your marriage work, because if the marriage is not working and you have children, it's probably going to affect the lives of those children.
So you have pressure from the wife family, you have pressure from the husband family. You have to be able to accommodate everybody. So marriage is a different ball game, so it really takes a very strong. You have to be strong. You have to be reasonable. You have to be open to so many things. You have to be able to weather the storm. You have to be able to, to face any difficulties that happens, that just gets thrown in your way. So I think this is one of the reasons that a lot of marriages fail because
Yeah, but you know, if you look at it, because they said marriage is ordained by God. You know, so it's something that God says must happen.
yeah,
Some people don't believe in marriage. Some people just believe in just living together
Yeah,
and not getting married.
yeah.
What's your own take on that?
Seriously, because I think when you eventually get married, a lot of things change. Really. But living together, getting married, I think the most important thing is actually getting married to your friend or living together with your friend. You know, understanding each other. Either way.
Yeah, but we can actually just live together. We
Getting
don't have
married
to
is
go,
just making it
you know,
legal.
exactly.
Really. It's just making it legal. It's just, you know, because eventually in the case of maybe death of one of the couple, you know, you're well
The
taken
other
care
one
of.
will look after the other property.
Other property, the kids, you know, will be taken care of and everything. So I think it's really to just legalize a lot of things and to cover the family as a whole in case of sudden death or anything like that. Because really, if it's really about, you know, taking that marriage, what's it called?
You mean the dotted lines?
Yeah, actually signing
Signing the dotted lines.
dotted line.
That's what they call it.
Exactly.
But
Because
it's actually signing the marriage register.
and of course, there's this thing that you say to each other to commit to each other to
The vow.
till
death do us part.
death do us part. If it's really about that, then we will not have any married men or married women having extramarital affairs. If it's about that,
Yeah, but people can just go in there and, you know, make the vow. They are human beings. You know, after they've made the vow, even some of them are, even at the time they're making the vow, they're still kind of looking at somebody, still shadowing somebody, you know, within that community where they're having where they're signing the register. So where do we go from there?
well, my own take on it is before you get married at all, just experience life.
When you say experience life, what do you mean by that?
Just, you know, experience everything. As a student, maybe when you're growing up, do what students do, party hard, you know, wear your spaghetti strap, wear all your mini skirts, wear all your hot pants, you know, live your life, you know, enjoy your youth.
So are you saying that once you live a life when you're still, you know, in your, your teenage years and still young,
yeah,
you will be able to have that experience when you go into marriage? Because it's a different ball game
yeah,
when you're still single
yeah,
and when you're married.
yeah.
So how do you compare the two?
I think if you experience life, you know, if you, obviously in the process of you experiencing life, you know, you've come across a lot of people, you'd have dealt with a lot of issues, you know, so it prepares you, you know, to manage the pressures of marriage. It gives you that platform, you know, so it's like nothing freaks you anymore because you've seen it all. You know, you are able to look at any issues that come your way. You're able to look at it from a different point of view and just calm down.
So if you don't live that life before going into marriage, what are the things that you think you will be experiencing?
Because from my experience, or from, you know, talking to people, friends and everything, I think one of the common issues of failed marriages is you have, you know, either of the couple making this kind of accusation: oh, he chanced me, he you know, I wasn't too sure that I was ready for marriage, you know, I just got pregnant and I just had to marry him. Or oh, he's much more older than me, oh, he does that all the time, he's always like he's domineering, you know. So these are the little petty things. And I think if you've lived life and experienced life, you don't complain about things like that. You know, if you've lived your life to the full, no man can dominate you. Even if he's dominating you, you know how to manage it.
Yeah, but you know, when you're still dating,
Yeah.
you're not actually tied to the man.
Yeah.
You don't have any commitment to the man.
Yeah.
So the man can do anything, the woman can do anything,
Yeah.
the lady can do anything,
Yeah.
can walk out of that relationship at any time.
Yeah.
But once you've, you know, signed the dotted lines, you've done it the legal way,
Yeah.
you're binding together.
Yeah.
And there's
Definitely.
something that is binding both of you together.
Yeah.
You cannot just walk away from
Oh, of
marriage.
course, definitely, of course, you can't walk.
So
away.
it's not the same when you say you live the life when you're still.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That before you sign the dotted lines, live your life, have that life experience, travel, meet people, open your eye, more like shine your eye. You know, just try and experience, go on an adventure. You know, discover yourself. You can even rediscover yourself. Try things that you feel like, oh, I'm too timid to do. You know, just do something
out of the ordinary.
out of the ordinary, something you would normally not do. You know, these are things that prepare you for future. These are things that prepare you, even in managing people. You know, even as the head of a company, you find out that most CEOs, they always have a story to tell. There's always a backstory. There has, you know, they've gone through so much.
things.
They've been to different places, and you know, they're able to manage people. So I think marriage is all about management.
I got a couple of comments on my Facebook page when I posted that topic of discussion. I posted it on Facebook, and I got quite a number of interesting comments from people. Some agreed that marriage is an institution ordained by God for regeneration and companionship.
Okay.
This particular person made a comment by saying many marriages fail due to lack of trust and forgiveness. He also said, having married to his wife, you know, for 17 years, patience, prayer, mercy, forgiveness, and God's blessings are the key elements in sustaining any marriage. He then made a very great point that youths of today have a great lesson to learn. And for me, this is one of the reasons why we're treating this topic today, because many of our youths, you know, go into marriages without knowing what exactly they're going into.
Yeah.
You know, I also got another comment which said the problem is people think a lot about wedding. They think a lot about the wedding itself,
yeah.
not the marriage.
Not the marriage.
You know.
Yeah.
And he said many of us need prayers and a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Most of them are keying into the word patience.
Patience, yeah.
Patience.
Yeah.
I'm still coming to that. He was also of the view that young people can't handle the pressure in marriages. You know, and then summarize it that it's all about the 3 C's. What do you think those 3 C's are?
Commitment.
I'm going to see whether you're going to get it all. Go on.
Commitment.
3 C's.
3 C's. I got 1 C.
You've got one. Thankfully, you got the first one.
Oh.
So you're on the right track. So let's see whether you. Oh, don't look.
Communication.
You've cheated. You cheated.
Commitment, communication,
And what?
and care. I might miss that one. Did I miss that one?
Did not get it.
Okay.
Thank
But
God.
at least I
Because
got 2.
Because you cheated. That's
I
why
got
you the
2.
second
No,
one.
I was going to say communication, really, because commitment
What
and
would be
communication is a very key factor. You
Okay.
have to communicate.
Okay.
You have to. So what's the third one?
The third one.
What's the third one?
Compromise. Compromise, he said.
Yeah.
So you have to compromise.
You have to compromise.
Okay.
At least I got 2 out of 3. Come on, give me a break.
So, I mean, all these people have made valid comments. The key word there is patience.
Patience, yeah.
So, in your opinion, you think patience
Yeah.
is really important?
And what gives you patience? Life experience. Life experience equals patience.
Okay.
You know, you have, because in life experience, you've come across a lot of people. You've dealt with a lot of people. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And the only way you can do that successfully is having patience. People are difficult to deal with. We have different people with different behavior, different mannerism. You have to be able to manage those people. You have to have patience to be able to.
You know, sometimes when you have patience,
Yeah.
some people take you for granted. They think, oh, because you are too patient, you don't talk, you
Yeah.
don't do this.
Yeah.
They take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And then they start to,
Yeah.
and some of these things, come back to your marriage.
It does. But we have to be very careful. not everybody takes advantage of people. And you know, my problem with people that think like that is because they think for you. That's the problem. You start thinking for the person. Because in your head, you're thinking, oh, because I'm patient, so she thinks I'm a dummy. You know, then he thinks for her. That is wrong. That is very, very wrong. You know, when you start thinking that people take you for granted, then you start thinking for them. You start preempting them.
I quite agree with you.
That's the problem.
I agree with
So you have to be very careful. Impatient doesn't mean that if you take me for granted, doesn't mean I'm a fool. I won't let you think, or I won't preempt you. I'll still give you a chance. So you know, because in the world we live in is a world of chances.
When people start to take advantage of that, of your patience, some people are, you know, react to that.
Exactly.
Say, I will deal with you.
And it becomes very ugly.
Becomes very really ugly.
Really ugly. So that's another thing we have to be very careful of. You can give people as many chances as you know you can, but my suggestion is always give the person another chance.
The chance
To redeem himself or herself.
Another individual actually said people go into marriage because of hidden agendas.
There's a lot of hidden agenda.
People go into that and say, oh, okay, this guy's got a lot of money. He's got a fantastic job. He's got, you know, loads of properties. Or, you know, in this part of the world that we are in, we see people go into marriages because they want, you know, they just want to get papers.
There's nothing wrong in that. Love can grow. You can go into marriage for something and eventually it grows on you. You know, you can never tell. So what's the point in marrying somebody that has no hidden agenda? And at the end of the day, exactly, then you still have problems. So marry somebody that has a hidden agenda. At least you know that person is looking for one thing.
And then will you be able to deal with that? Will you be able to manage that?
No, the thing
because
is,
you might not know. That's the dangerous part of it. That's the dangerous part of it. You might not know what this person is thinking about.
Like I said, there's nothing wrong to marry.
And then they get
hidden agenda.
They get the papers.
We all marry for different reasons.
Well, agreed. But once you get the paper, the person just leaves you.
Well, that happens. Yeah. Well, things happen. You can't always get it right in life. Seriously. You can't always get it right in life. People use people to get to wherever they want to go. You know? And I'm sure at some point, whoever married you for your paper, you must have used somebody at some point as well in life. You know? I think the whole thing, the whole lesson here is not to regret anything that you do. Whatever action you take is part of life's lessons. Lessons learned. It's part of learning and living life. Because if such things don't happen, how will you have any stories?
I'm sure many of our viewers are willing to just call into the program now and trying to take you on all these things you're talking about. So if you're willing to call into the program, please dial into the number that's being scrolled on the screen. It's an interactive session. Let's join hands together. Let's discuss this topic, because there are so many marriages that are failing today, and we need to provide solutions to how we can deal with this this trend that is going on.
Please do call in. I'm all for hidden agenda marriages. Really.
You're all for it.
Why not? Come on, if I find a rich guy, he can afford to take care of me. You know, why not if not? Love grows. Sometimes even most people that get married is not because of love.
I'm sorry for
Come on, we have to be realistic here.
I'm really sorry for you.
I'm just a realist.
Because you will go into a marriage and you get, some battering. And then this one is not about taking chances.
Okay.
I actually went out during the week to sample people's opinion about what they feel, what their take is about why marriages fail, and I have some interesting comments for you to watch now.
I'm a Christian, so Christian marriages probably because they're not based or the foundation isn't of God. So I strongly believe that that's one of the main reasons why marriages fail. And another reason, like putting Christianity aside, probably people not getting to know each other, you know, just rushing into marriage, probably because they just want to put on a dress or, you know, out of desperation. Yeah, a number of reasons, but as I said, I am Christian, so I believe because it's not based on the foundation.
Simply put, I would say marriages fail for many reasons, but the fundamental one would be for me that a lack of communication. You know how it is when you start out a relationship, it's always intense. There's always a chase, someone's being chased, someone is doing the chasing. You know, that love is actually intense. There's a desire, there's passion. But over time, because other factors get involved, life happens, you know, situations don't remain the same, circumstances, the closeness seems to, you know, wear off. The passion dies down, it ebbs. So the communication that would have existed at that time may not be. And unfortunately, we live in a society where we see marriage as a contract in which you can get in and get out. Years back, the time of our parents, you know, the generations before us, the thought of having a divorce, such a breakdown you would never. They would get into it and see it as a thing for, you know, that will go on forever, even when it's not really favorable. But we live in an age in which even when times are tough, the next thing is to get out of it. So we just see that once those signs are there, they just get out. But I think it all starts with communication. That's where I'll start from. That's my take. But again, as I said, it has many. The symptoms are variant, the multifactorial. However, I think when you look at the root of it, the find that is actually communication between each them.
A lot of factors why marriages do fail. One factor is lack of impatience, and in the sense that, especially in the first year when people get married, basically because people they've been living their life differently. The gentleman has been living as a bachelor, the white lady has been living as a spinster. You know, coming together is like a fusion that's coming together. It's not blending. When it doesn't blend, it's either they fall apart and that's it. But patience goes in very, very long way in the real sense of it. So, and when I've heard too many stories, you know, when people say I mean patience. So many stories are where the guy just comes to put the boxers on the bed and the ladies not using something like that. So, and it's just all about trying to cope with each other, you know, accepting each other, and which is very, very difficult because it is those entities are two different others entirely. So I think I will stick to this one factor because of time, lack of patience. That is what it is, especially in the second years of marriage, and that's when people tend to divorce quickly. Patience is just the key word, irrespective of what your religion is, of what your background is, what your belief is. If you do not have patience, it's just not going to work. There's no way you can have two captains on the same ship. It is not possible. Patience is the key word. So just be patient. That's it.
12 years, no, 13 years now of marriage. I found out that most time, when people go into marriage, they don't really know what marriage is all about. So I believe lack of knowledge of what marriage is the foundational problem in marriage, because there are people that are not Christians that their marriages still work. So, and I believe it's because they are practicing the principles that governs marriage. And if we call ourselves Christian or whatever, and we don't follow the principles of marriage, then definitely it will fail. That's the way I see it. So the main problem is lack of knowledge of what marriage is all about. It's not sex, because before you know what, after two months, you get tired of the sex. So whatever, even if it's money, if you marry a man because of money, one day you will miss the man, even with the abundance of money you've got. So you find that it's not about those, how do I put it now? This, what people think, but the real knowledge of marriage is what is missing, and that's why I think is the problem, main problem.
I think marriage fail. I think it's basically lack of knowledge and lack of communication as well. I remember going for my counseling before I got married. And one key thing that I thought was important in the counseling section was communication. And also, if you don't have the fear of God, the both of you are not actually Christians. When I say Christians, I mean born again Christians. And if that is lacking, there is a misunderstanding that comes in the marriage as well. So you two have different opinion. But if you two are going fully in one goal, you're going towards a certain goal, then two minds have one thing together, and together you can work as one. Like unity stands and divided fall. So if both Christians, both parties are not born again Christians, when it comes to decision making, it's really very difficult because the second person doesn't have an understanding. Another thing I feel that makes marriage fail is lack of communication as well. If there's no communication, then marriage really cannot work, because you obviously are not a mind reader, so you cannot read your other partner's mind and he cannot read yours either. So if you're open-minded and you communicate together, that can help a marriage go a very long way as well. Another thing I think is love and understanding. If the love of God is lacking, when I say love, not just kind of love, but unconditional love that forgives as well. If that is not there, then it's like just having friends with anybody. You should see yourself as friends as well, and not just husband and wife, but best friends. If you see yourself like that, I think it makes marriage go a very, very long way. So that's one of the reasons. These are the things I think that makes marriage fail. I think there's more, but these are the things that I can remember.
I'll say that there are different reasons why people marry, and there are different reasons why marriages fail. And I'll just mention just a few. And I'll start with the reason why God instituted marriage, which is first and foremost is companionship. It's also to be fruitful, to multiply, and essentially is to have a home, where God will be glorified, where children will be raised, and nurtured in the fear and the admonition of God. And looking at all this along the line, because God is the one that instituted marriage. So before individual gets married, I believe one needs to seek counsel of God. Know that this is the right person for you. But as it is, not many people do that. And if you don't work, according to the plan and purpose of God, there will be crisis on the way, and one needs the grace of God to be able to pull through. So if one is experiencing crisis and you are not, as couples, if you are not able to take it back to God, to help them along the way, then such a marriage, may fail. And another thing is communication is very, very key in marriage. And when you have two people in a relationship and they don't communicate the expectations to each other, and they also don't have the point of agreement, then it brings issues which most of the time makes such marriages to fail. And sometimes part of the expectation is that a woman or the man may have their expectations, and if these expectations are not being met, by the spouse, then it begins to bring up issues that if they are not careful and if they don't seek the counsel and the wisdom of God, then such marriages may fail. So, in a nutshell, quite a number of things. Finances do cause it when there is financial friction.
Why marriages fail is not just one reason. For everything to work, business, marriage, whatever we do to work, we need God. And if God is missing in the marriage, it's going to fail. What do I mean by God? We need to apply the principles of God. Anytime it's deviating, trouble will begin to come in. We need patience, and God is a God of patience. God is a God of peace. God is a God of love. So anytime we apply the principle of God in the marriage, it will work. We cannot have it in totality in 1 year, in 2 years, but we must keep applying and keep checking and keep praying and keep allowing love to flow. If we allow love, we allow patience, we allow God, it's going to work.
Badu Magazine, Africa's #1 magazine with the best entertainment in the UK. Essential information on business opportunities, latest happening in the entertainment scenes, student parties, house of worship conferences, and much more. For advert placement and business listings, we are equally your #1. Get your copy now on ebay.co.uk, at our website at badumagazine.com, and various outlets in and around Nigeria, UK, USA, and Canada. Badu Magazine.
Welcome back to Point Blank. We've listened to some of those comments there, and we've highlighted some of the things that many of these people have said. They've all said something about having God involved in your marriages. Many people go to churches to get married. Some people go to the registry to get married. It could be because people don't go to churches to get married. That's why.
No, I don't believe that. No, I don't believe that. Don't let lady blame. Don't lady blame at the door of the church or how. I'm just trying to find ways of phrasing it. I think it all boils down to individual. That's what it boils down to. We have people that are like go to church 24 hours a day, but they're still having issues in their marriages. They're a totally different person at home, but in church they're like the holy, like they're the second in command to Jesus. But when it comes to actually relating with their in-laws and actually keeping their family together, they're a different person entirely. They're not accommodating, they're not realistic, they're not reasonable, and when you live with somebody like that, I don't know how the marriage will survive. And apart from that, there's a lot of this, we have this very church thing that most times now we have a lot of people spending more time in the church than actually spending more time with their husband. That's one of the reasons.
So the husband will frown at the wife spending more time in church, or the wife will frown, that the husband is spending more time in church. Most of the time,
it's always the wife that spends more time in church. Now, it's not because the husband does not believe in God, or if you don't go to church, does not make you like.
So why do women spend more time in church?
I think we're
more. They're supposed to be making preparing the food at home, looking after the kids at home.
I think women we're more. We're actually the one that bears a lot of the burden.
The women, they yap too much. They yap a lot, yeah. So they want to stay in church and talk.
No, not that. I think most of the issues and most of the problems that people experience in life, I think women are able to deal with issues and problems better than men. And who else do you turn to in your hour of need, in your time of need? You turn to God. Now, the key thing is not to overdo it. You have to be able to talk to God as well as have time for your husband.
Yeah, but you can talk to God.
In as much as you're having a lot of issues in your marriage, and you believe it's only by going to church or actually talking to God that can actually solve it. But you still have to be able to manage the time you spend in church and the one you spend with your husband. You have to be able to balance.
Do you know I've been following the trend since we started the discussion, and somebody made a very, very important point in one of those clips that we just watched, and made reference to the marriage of yesteryears.
Yeah.
If you compare the marriage of yesteryears to what we have today, we find that the marriage of those days lasts longer.
Yeah.
If you're looking back at our parents, most of them are still kind of together.
Yeah, you're right. But obviously times have changed.
The new technology.
Women are more vocal. Women are in higher positions, which was not the same way back. Women are more submissive way back then. Women are just like, you just need to stay home, take care of the kids and take care of your husband,
So
while the husband goes out
to look for
to look for the cash
daily
and
bread
takes
and
care
all that.
takes care of the family, the house, and everything. But now is a situation where both the husband and wife have to
competing.
contribute. Exactly.
They're competing with the same job,
The
they're
same
earning
job.
the same salary,
Exactly.
the same salary structure level.
Way back then, they don't really educate women that much. So a lot of women way back then, you know, and most of the time is more like arranged marriages then. So you just have to accept whoever your father, you know, wants you to marry, and that's it. And you just sit down quietly, like in your own corner, and produce baby. Pop, produce baby every year, and before you know it, you have 15 children.
Somebody just sent me a text now, contributing to the topic of discussion. He actually mentioned something about what you said earlier on about hidden agenda. So he mentioned that it should be okay if a man marries you
With hidden agenda.
if you have a hidden agenda.
Well, in response to that, it can't all go smoothly. Come on, I have to stir the pot.
So when we look at the arranged marriages that we have here in the UK,
Yeah,
we have so many people doing arranged marriages
yeah.
in the UK. I think we've got a caller on the show tonight. Good evening, caller. Thanks for joining us on Point Blank tonight. Can we have your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, good evening. My name is Sadaran Kelawalayeni.
Can you speak up a bit, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
You're a little bit faint. Can you speak up a little bit?
This is Sadaran Kelawal calling from Dagenham.
Okay, I can hear you now. Good evening, Ronke. Thanks for joining us on Point Blank tonight. Can we have your contribution?
All right. If I get the topic right, is it why marriages are breaking in UK or generally?
Why marriages fail generally?
Generally, yeah.
I know we have a lot of marriages failing in the UK, but we're talking generally now.
Okay, generally. Okay, all right. All right. I think one of the reasons so far that I can identify is this so-called family value. I think in the past, yeah, a lot of families get involved in marriages, and even if anything is going wrong, you see our parents, even neighbors, friends, family standing up immediately to sort it out for the couples.
Yeah.
But recently, as in recent days, people hardly have that time. Things will have, even before the parents get to find out what's going on between these so-called couples, things could have probably got wrong totally. Unlike before, families do follow things up. When you're married, you still see them checking on you, trying to find out if you're okay here and there.
Yeah.
But here, no, I'm not saying here as in UK, as in recent times now, I don't really think that value is still there. People don't really have that time anymore like before.
Yeah.
I think, to me, it's one of the things really, affecting marriages.
Yeah,
and another
you're
thing
correct.
is choice of spouses. Most parents don't support your choice of partner, and in most cases you don't see them supporting. Even when things are going wrong, they don't want to know. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm thinking obviously it's one of the major reasons affecting marriages recently, in recent times.
This lack of family values.
Family values.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you ever so much for that contribution.
I'm really enjoying your program. Keep up the good spirit, and always get us informed. Let's know what's going on so that we can always contribute. We're enjoying your program.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right then. Bye.
I'd just like to make a point on the family value that she mentioned now.
Go on.
Now, one of the reasons why the marriages fail here in the UK is because, you meet here, you get married to each other. You don't really know each other's family because you both can't go home. So the kind of behavior, the kind of attitude that you both have is, I can do and undo. I can beat her up, nobody will ask me. At least I don't know her mother, I married her, so what? So that's part of it. And again, valuing ourselves is another thing. If we value ourselves going into marriage, that's why I like the traditional aspect of the engagement. You know, because you know the Yoruba traditional engagements, the husband would need to come and prostrate for the wife, the wife family and everything. So I think those kind of value, you know, it places a lot of value on whoever you are marrying. Because if you have to go through all that to actually marry the lady, or if you have to go through, I don't know.
You will think twice.
Exactly. At least it gives a sense of value, kind of that, you know.
At least I prostrated for this.
Exactly.
For the
And
family.
you know, so I think here is because, you know, we're far away from home.
Yeah, but I mean, you say we're far away from home, but there's still marriages that are conducted here, whereby you find parents of the couples, they fly in here with their relatives to come and, you know, do the traditional wedding, do the engagement and all that. All that's still happening here.
Yeah, they only fly in here. They don't live here.
Yeah, but
In Nigeria, look,
they
in
don't have to
Nigeria,
live
wait,
here.
in Nigeria, right? You have like way back home, you have like, you know, families. You have your sister, you have your brother, you know. So if anything happens, and again, there's this interconnectivity. There's this connection within the families. You know, way back home.
Yeah, but you still have families here. I'm sure you have a relation here, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, who you can always call upon if you're having issues with your marriage.
Well, I don't know how to say this in English.
Because
but
you have,
this,
you have
but I
marriages
don't know.
in Nigeria.
There's a proverb, but it's in Yoruba. I don't know how to translate it to English.
What's
So
that?
I don't know.
Let's listen to it. Maybe we might get one of our viewers to translate.
Okay,
for
like,
us.
you know, the kind of attitude that a lot of people put up here is "Ìwà ta ló máa nà mí, ìwà ta ló máa mú mi."
That's beyond me.
You know, as in I can do and undo. Who will call me to order?
Yeah, but you said
You
don't
understand?
know how to
This
translate
country
it.
supports.
And you are translating it now. Huh?
You know, this country supports women a lot, especially women in marriage. So there's a lot of arrogance that, you know, if you go out and mess up, I'll kick you out. And that's it.
That's another issue.
She'll kick him out.
That's another issue. Why? Maybe the woman had seen the potential, or maybe I don't know. I think it's this country has given women the power to do that.
A lot of people just get carried away. That's just what I'm going to say. A lot of people get carried away with, especially in this country, a lot of women. Men to do it, but I think it's much more common in women than men. They get carried away with the policies and the support that the system has for women. A lot of women get carried away.
And they start to misbehave.
And they misbehave and go overboard.
Somebody made another very good point in one of the clips that we watched. I think we've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Can we know your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, good evening. My name is Masamba Masanga, and I'm calling in regards to the topic you guys are having.
Okay.
I heard my sister say that men act in a culture or with a culture of impunity in the way they treat women, and vice versa, that women do exactly the same, and that this is because we're so far away from home that the cultural restraints that would otherwise have been applicable no longer apply.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's my sense of what I heard my sister say.
Yeah.
However, the point I wish to make is that the reason why I think a lot of marriages fail is because the parties who are getting married in the first instance are usually very young, very ignorant about themselves, much less the other party. And it's just a very uphill struggle, I think, especially for young people who may not have a lot of money, who will have to deal with all these pressures, peer pressure, financial pressures, emotional pressures, traditional pressures, psychological pressures, social pressures, all kinds of
There's a lot of pressure, all sort of pressures. Pressure everywhere.
So, for these reasons, I think, especially the age maturity factor, the age maturity issue, especially for that reason, I think that plays a major role in the failure of so many marriages. So many. Maturity, if you don't know who you are, which a lot of people don't. I mean, I'm 40. I'm in my mid 40s.
Yeah.
And I'm just about getting a handle on who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. At my age. So how much more permanent will that problem be for younger people?
Yeah.
And that's the point I wanted to share with you, my good friends. And I think I talked too much, so let me go. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your contribution.
Thank you. On you mentioned maturity.
That's right.
Yeah, and to mature, you have to live life fully. I'm just
As
going
you
back
said.
to what I said. It's part of maturing,
being matured.
matured. You have to experience life. You have to live life. If you've experienced life, you're matured enough to take anything. You can tolerate anybody. You can reason.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, but there are instances where some people don't have. That thing is not inbuilt in them. They don't know how to live a life. They're just the reserved type of people. So they just flow with what's going on, and they flow into it, and they go into marriage.
Well, you can't have it all. You can't have it all.
Yeah, but some of them go into marriages and the marriages work. Some go into it, it fails.
Yeah, I guess you see, like I said, marriage is just the most important thing. Is just the people that have successful marriages today is not because they are superhuman beings, or it's not because they have the best behavior in the whole wide world. It's not because they're the most brilliant person. They're just lucky to actually marry.
Yeah, but some marriages are still together because both parties, kind of know how to tolerate each other.
That's what I'm saying. Because they're just lucky that they were able to marry somebody that just goes with.
Maybe one party is cool, the other one is hot.
Yeah, and
they're able
I
to
don't
tolerate
know each other exactly. One way or the other, they're just so lucky to have met the right person. That's just what I'll say. They're just like.
So how do you know who the right person is? Because I mean, you find so many women out there, so many men out there, and you think, oh, I found Mr. Right.
You can't know. I don't think I can know. Seriously. And again, I don't want to know Mr. Right, really. I want the opportunity to explore. I like challenges. I want to get to know somebody. If I meet Mr. Right, it's going to be too boring if everything just goes smoothly. You have to have uphills. You have to have issues. So, there has to be something that keeps you on your toes.
So you suggest that for a marriage to work,
because it's a test.
There
has to be something.
Some friction in the house.
There has to be something. It's a test.
You have to be able to test yourself.
Exactly. It's a test.
So it's only those who can withstand the pressure.
Exactly.
Survive.
Exactly. Right on point.
Wow.
You just have to have that.
So what do you think we can how do you think we can educate the younger generation? People who are in their 20s and thinking of going into marriage pretty soon, as the gentleman who called said. Some people go into marriages at the age of 20. They're not even matured. They don't even know what it takes. They feel okay. I've married this. Yeah, you're right. Some people get married at the age of. If you remember back in the days, our parents, some of them married at the very early age. 20, some of them 20 years. Yeah. And their marriages lasted. Yeah. So what could be the key?
But they have a story. They have a story. They have interesting story. They have, if you ask them, they'll tell you stories that will blow your mind.
Have you come across somebody who's had that? Maybe you've heard some interesting stories.
Yeah, I have.
You share some with us?
You have stories. You hear stories that will blow your mind. Story of resilience. Story of, a strong woman that have, overcome everything to keep her marriage and keep her children safe. I think a lot of women also stay in marriage for their children, because nobody, you hardly find a woman that gives up her children. Women don't do that easily. And I think women, we can manage crisis better than men. And that is one thing one has to understand in marriage. Men can't manage crisis.
Why do you say that? Because I know so many women that cannot manage crisis. Once there's a crisis, they're everywhere.
I think women manage crisis better than men, because when men get, when they get under pressure, they just misbehave.
They lose it.
They just lose it, because that's why we have more single women taking care of children. We have more single parents. You find more women as single parents than men as single parents. Because if women cannot manage crisis, then you won't find a lot of single women parents. Do you understand what I mean?
I want to believe it's because it's the mother, the women, they carry the children from birth. So the children are more, they lean more to the mother. So that's why the mothers have to look after the kids. So it's not about women or men not being able to manage crisis, or women being able to manage crisis. I don't think it's that.
It is.
Well, I leave that to our audience to judge. What about the issue of gay people coming together, gay marriages? Is that working? Are gay marriages working?
I think it is. Because if not, they won't be getting married every day, and they won't be fighting for their rights to get married.
I'm sure they also have.
They also have their own issue. Yeah, I'm sure they do have problems.
They will have problems.
I'm sure. I just can't imagine. Look. I'm sure they'll have their problems.
Yeah, but let's go there. I think that's about what we're able to discuss today, and I'm sure many of our viewers have been able to, gain one or two things from, how to manage their marriages.
Their marriage, yeah.
So we do sincerely thank those of you who called into the program to make your own contributions. We sincerely thank you for all your comments, and we hope, many people will have, gained one or two things from today's discussion.
I think the key thing to take from here is, like, from the reaction we got from people on Facebook, I think one of the key words is patience.
Patience.
And I think we need to be patient. It applies to everything we do, So, and again, just have a lot of love and enjoy.
And enjoy your life.
Enjoy life. Enjoy life, Just open up.
For the young ones, enjoy life before you go into marriage.
Pop champagne, tackle Hennessy, that kind of a thing.
I don't know about tackling Hennessy. Just enjoy life. By the time you start to tackle Hennessy now,
if you want
start to misbehave.
If you want to go out on a boys' night out, just put like this thing on the chiller, chill it up, and just once it comes, the normal thing, roamy, give him his favorite food.
Exactly, that's how to keep the marriage.
Just let him drink. He will sleep off. He won't go anywhere again.
That's how you keep your marriage. Anyway, we do sincerely thank you for watching Point Blank tonight. We will be back same time next week. Next week promises to be another interesting topic. Next week we're going to be looking at insurance. Should we be insuring ourselves? Should we be insuring our properties? Should we be insuring our lives?
Especially life. We should insure life. Next week on the sofa, we're going to have an expert who's going to come and speak to us on insurance, on how we need to start to insure our lives, insure our properties, and all sorts. Well, Desiree, thank you for coming on the program tonight. Always
I sincerely thank my production crew as well, who has been working tirelessly behind the screen. We will be back same time next week, as I said. And until then, it's good night from me. Good night.